Lefty Gunplay, a rapper from Los Angeles, has been making waves in the hip-hop scene for a while now, and it's easy to see why. His music feels like it's straight from the heart, raw, unfiltered, and unapologetically real. He's the kind of artist who doesn't hold back. Whether he's rapping about street life, personal struggles, or his outlook on the world, it hits hard because it's authentic and from a place that's impossible to fake. He's got this aggressive, high-energy delivery that makes you stop and listen even if you're not trying to. It's not always polished, but that's the point. He's not aiming for clean cut. He's gritty, and his bars carry that weight. But with that kind of honesty, controversy's never far behind. Some people call him bold, others say reckless. Either way, he's the type you don't usually scroll past. But Lefty's story didn't start in the booth. It started way before that in the streets of LA, where he had to grow up fast. By the time he was a teenager, he was already deep in the system. A 13-year prison sentence at that age doesn't just happen. That's a life that came with real consequences. And while that time could have broken him, it didn't. If anything, it shaped his voice and gave him something to say once he finally had a mic in front of him. Still, the real question isn't just who he is as an artist. People know the rapper. But who is Lefty Gunplay when the music fades away? This is the story of Lefty Gunplay. Franklin Holiday, better known as Lefty Gunplay, came into the world on April 28, 1994, right here in the U.S. He grew up in Baldwin Park, a city tucked inside LA County's San Gabriel Valley. Now, Baldwin Park isn't the kind of place that gives you a head start. It's a city where struggle is the norm, where dreams get swallowed up by survival. A lot of young girls have kids early, families are barely scraping by, and the cycle of jail time seems endless. From a young age, the message was clear. You either end up locked up or laid out. It felt like every corner of that city came with a warning. So kids like Lefty grew up thinking those were the only two real options. The streets had their own rules, and it turned life into a game of who could make the biggest name for themselves, even if they started with nothing. Baldwin Park had a strong Latino presence, and Lefty's family was a reflection of that. His mom, who had both Guatemalan and Mexican roots, came from Guatemala City. His dad was white from Mississippi, but he wasn't around. When his father left, it was just his mom, grandma, and his two younger siblings trying to make it. Things weren't easy. Money was tight, and the house was so small that Lefty didn't even want to invite friends over. He felt embarrassed, even as a little kid. Still, he was full of energy, loud, playful, always in the mix. Music became his escape. He fell in love with it early, drawn in by legends like Tupac, Snoop Dogg, and Eazy-E. He started rapping at 12, but his first shot came even earlier in 3rd grade. He wrote a whole song and was hyped when classmates started rapping it too, until one kid tried to claim it as his own. That didn't sit right with him. His first real taste of performing came at an elementary school talent show. This was when Kanye's College Dropout was dropping and 50 Cent was running the charts. Lefty hit the stage, performed songs from both, and walked away with first place. He wasn't just good, he felt good. Being the center of it all gave him a kind of high he couldn't let go of. He wasn't chasing fame or money back then. It was just fun. It made him feel alive. But by the time he was 13, things started to shift. That's when the streets called louder than ever. He got swept into gang life, joining KHA 13, short for King Hill Avenue 13. That was the moment everything started to change. Lefty wasn't just a kid rapping for fun anymore. He was looking for a father figure, for someone to show him how to be a man. And in the absence of a real one, he found it in the neighborhood. The gang gave him what he thought he needed: respect, purpose, and people who looked out for him, even if it came with a heavy price. Now, KHA, which stands for King Hill Avenue 13, didn't start out as a gang. Back in 1991, they were just a tagging crew, the kind of crew that skipped school, threw wild parties, and spent their days spray painting their name all over the city while smoking weed and chilling with their boys. They weren't looking for trouble, not at first. When the East Side Ballers were around, KHA kept their heads down. They weren't built for beef. They were just out to make a name with a can of paint. In those early days, getting into KHA wasn't about being tough. It was more about the vibe. If you were good looking or came from a family with a little money, you were in. It had that flashy party crew energy. No one really expected them to become more than that, but things changed. Fast forward to the 2000s, and KHA started taking a different path. Somewhere along the line, they made the switch from street artists to street soldiers. That's when they added the 13 to their name, signaling a whole new level of seriousness. Now, if you're from Southern California, you already know how this story goes. Tagging crews sometimes turn into full-on Sereno gangs, and it usually starts when one of the main guys, the leader or someone with real weight, ends up locked up. Once inside the county or prison, things shift. The politics hit fast. Other 13 affiliated gangs watch how you move. If you carry yourself right, with respect and no fear, the older guys might offer you something bigger, a shot at becoming part of that 13 network. So when that respected member gets out, he's not the same. The spray cans get traded for something deeper. He starts telling the younger homies it's not just about tagging walls anymore. It's about repping turf, showing loyalty, and living by the code that comes with that 13. And that's exactly what happened with KHA. By the time Lefty was just 14, his life had already taken a sharp left turn. He got arrested for a shooting, one that was still surrounded by supposedly this and allegedly that. But either way, it landed him 3 tough years in juvenile detention. His first days inside were brutal. 60 kids jumped him as soon as he got there. That kind of welcome could break most people, but Lefty adjusted quickly. He said juvie forced him to grow up, and it taught him how to fight, both physically and mentally. After getting out, Lefty went back to high school and jumped right back into sports. He was an athlete through and through, varsity in football, baseball, and basketball. On the football field, he was a beast, racking up 17 touchdowns his senior year. On paper, it looked like he had plenty of options. But life wasn't just stats and scores. There was also a time when he ended up in a military boot camp program, connected through juvenile hall. It was intense, and not just anyone could get in. The rules were tight. At the end of the program, they'd let you go home for Christmas, but only if you stayed clean, no trouble. That visit home was supposed to be a break, a chance to reset. Instead, Lefty found himself back in Baldwin Park, caught tagging by the freeway with coke stashed in his sock. He ran, but the highway patrol caught up. Just like that, the shot at becoming a Marine slipped away. Still, he made it through school, graduating with a 3.0 GPA. That part often gets overlooked, but it mattered. He wasn't just surviving, he was still trying to push forward, even if the streets kept pulling him back. One night, he hit up a flyer party with a homegirl. Things spiraled fast, tension turned to violence, and Lefty was accused of opening fire into the crowd. No one was hit, but that didn't matter. He took a plea deal and ended up doing 9 years. While locked up, things didn't exactly settle down. Early into his sentence, he landed in solitary after fighting in the yard. Later, he got transferred to Pelican Bay, one of the toughest prisons in California, after stabbing someone inside. It was during all that time, all that isolation, that something started shifting. With nothing but time and thoughts, Lefty started dreaming, literally. Every night, he'd see himself on stage, performing, turning his pain into power. The dreams felt too vivid to ignore. Over time, they stopped feeling like dreams and started feeling like plans. About a year before his release, he made up his mind. He wasn't just going to think about rap, he was going to be a rapper. Truth is, that gift had always been sitting inside him. People around him used to say he was different, that he had a certain glow, like he was meant for something beyond the blocks. And deep down, he believed it too. While serving his time, he met Jap 5, another rapper who had already started building his own name. Jap 5 saw something in Lefty. He told him straight, "You got it, you just need to run with it." That moment sparked something. Jap 5 wasn't just hyping him up, he was showing him it could be done. Same background, same struggle, but a different path forward. He told Lefty to build it on his own once he got out. No handouts, no shortcuts, just grind and prove you belong. And that's exactly what Lefty did. But you see, back when Lefty was still locked up, the LA rap scene was riding high off the wave created by TDE, Nipsey Hussle, and Dom Kennedy. That trio held the torch for the city, each pushing their style, but still keeping it rooted in that classic West Coast energy. But by the time Lefty got out in late 2023, things had shifted in a big way. The city had found a new voice. The Stink team came through with a whole different energy, slick flows, coded lingo, and a rawness that rewrote what street rap sounded like in LA. At the same time, Shoreline Mafia was tearing it up with back-to-back hits that basically became the soundtrack to West Coast parties. Then 03 Greedo came out of nowhere, bringing his wild, emotional sound to tracks like Trap House and Run for Your Life. And just like that, Watts was right back in the spotlight. It felt like a new golden age was on the horizon. But that momentum got hit with real-life tragedy. Drakeo was murdered. Shoreline Mafia broke up. Greedo went down on a long bid. Suddenly, that loud, buzzing movement started to quiet down. The spotlight moved away from Southern California. But if you know anything about LA, it's that the underground never stops grinding. Even when it looked like things were falling apart, the scene kept breathing. The Stink Team held it down in Drakeo's memory. G Perico made history as the first LA street rapper since Nipsey to drop a Gangsta Grillz tape. Greedo beat the odds and came home early after serving only 5 years of a 20-year sentence. And while all that was happening, something fresh was bubbling up in places most people didn't expect, like Orange County and the San Gabriel Valley. By 2023, names like Drummer Boy and Rowdy Rax were putting SGV on the map, and it just so happened that's exactly when Lefty came home. The timing couldn't have been better. Within a year of being released, Lefty Gunplay had already dropped 2 full albums. He was packing out venues across LA County, moving like a seasoned vet. Then came the big move. He signed his first independent record deal. But this wasn't just about getting famous. Lefty was on something deeper. He wasn't trying to be another rapper who made it out and left everything behind. He wanted to build something solid for himself and the people around him. Every stage, every studio session, every post, it was part of a bigger plan to rewrite his story. Then, in December 2023, 2 tracks, Certified Stepper and Spin the Block, started making real noise. That's when OTR Records, a rising label out of LA, took notice. They already had names like Cheetah Run a Dollar, Top Rank Gang, Beat Boy Taught Me, and Ty Beats. Now Lefty was on their radar. But here's the twist. Lefty had already hit them up months earlier, slid into their DMs hoping to get a shot. Nothing came of it at the time, but then he dropped Billy D Baby and everything changed. For 2 straight minutes, Lefty snapped over the Why We Thugs beat, riding that violin with raw, locked-in energy. His flow had this unhinged focus, wild but sharp. He wasn't just talking about it, he was it. And people felt that. Since it dropped, Billy D Baby has blown up, crossing 1 million streams on Spotify and becoming his biggest track yet. That's when OTR hit him back, this time ready to talk. That moment proved something Lefty had been thinking about for a while. If your name's not in the air, you're not ready. He'd heard that idea before, that when you're really making waves, people won't have to be told about you, they'll already know, and now it was happening to him. His music was bouncing out of car speakers, playing at house parties, spreading through neighborhoods. He had officially arrived. At first, his people, especially his mom, were pushing him to stay independent. They wanted him to move carefully. But Lefty had a gut feeling about OTR. They didn't just see his music, they saw him, and he saw them the same way, so he took the leap. But his rise hasn't come without pressure. Being a Latin rapper from Los Angeles means walking a complicated line, especially with the long history of tension between Black and Latino communities in the streets. As Lefty's profile's grown, so has the hate. More eyes mean more opinions, and not all of them have been kind. Still, that didn't throw him off. If anything, it sharpened his focus. From the start, he said his goal is to bridge the gap, to bring unity where there's usually division. His mission isn't just about making music, it's about making space. He wants Mexican kids and others who look like him to know they belong in hip-hop too, to see someone who made it out so they know they can too, and then actually go do it. And the attention just kept building. In November 2024, Lefty showed up on a track called TV Off, a collab with none other than Kendrick Lamar. The song dropped as a single from Kendrick's album GNX, and it blew up, peaking at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and charting around the world. Off that one feature, Lefty's streaming numbers jumped 84%. That's the kind of breakout moment most new rappers only dream about. But with the fame came a reality check. In February 2025, Brian Zisuk, an artist advocate and co-founder of AudioMac, went on X and revealed something wild. Lefty wasn't getting any of his publishing money for TV Off or any of his other songs. Why? Because he wasn't registered with a pro. The organization that collects royalties for songwriters in the US, Zisuk, explained that artists have 3 years to claim those royalties before that money gets split up between major publishers. He also mentioned that, according to people in the know, Lefty had finally signed up with BMI, which should help fix the issue. But by that point, the post had already gone viral. over 3 million views. Lefty jumped on X himself to respond, though the exact post hasn't been included yet. Mike Chahade, creative director over at OTR Records, confirmed that the business side of TV Off hadn't been fully locked in yet. So yeah, the paperwork might have been late, but Lefty was already making noise, already putting numbers on the board. And whether the industry catches up or not, it's clear he's not slowing down. But just when things seemed to be leveling up, Lefty's name popped up in a whole new conversation. That same month, word started spreading out of El Paso, Texas. Lefty Gunplay had landed himself in some legal trouble. Rumor has it the local cops picked him up on substance charges tied to controlled substances. Here's how it all went down. Around 3 in the afternoon, officers were patrolling near 6,351 Gateway West when they noticed a car rolling south on Buffalo Soldier. Pretty routine stuff, except a couple of people in the car weren't wearing seatbelts. That's what got them pulled over. Once the car stopped, the situation took a turn. The driver, Reno Cordova, had coke on him, according to the cops. Meanwhile, the other passengers, Rafael Rueda and Lefty, were arrested too, just for not having their seatbelts on. Police didn't exactly say who was sitting where, just that seatbelt violations kicked everything off. Things got worse after the arrest. Once Lefty was taken to the El Paso County Detention Facility, police say they found meth on him during intake. That added 2 more charges, one for possession of a controlled substance and another for bringing contraband into jail. And the weight of the drugs, somewhere between 4 and 200 grams, which in Texas could mean up to 20 years behind bars and a hefty fine. But Lefty didn't sit too long. He dropped a $35,000 bond and paid that $184 seatbelt fine in cash. By the end of the day, he was out. The whole reason Lefty was even in El Paso, he was supposed to pull up at Chuco Brunch and do a set at Friend's Sports Bar and Kitchen. But thanks to the arrest, those plans got scrapped. Local news even showed a video of him in cuffs, being walked through a medical facility by police. Not the entrance his fans expected. Still, Lefty made sure to speak to the people who showed up for him. He called into Power 102.1 FM and told host Patty Diaz that he was sorry he couldn't perform and promised to make it right. He didn't dive into every detail, but the message was clear. He didn't plan for things to go the way they did, and he still had love for Texas. He also made it known that if fans wanted to see him, they might have to catch a flight to Cali. But what really had fans buzzing, though, was Rolling Loud in March. Lefty was set to hit the stage and represent his home state in a big way. In the days leading up to it, he posted some practice clips on Instagram, getting everyone hyped for the show. Tour dates were already set, kicking off in April in Salt Lake City and wrapping in San Diego at Wicked West. But once again, things didn't go as planned. Just minutes before his scheduled performance, No Jumper caught footage that looked like Lefty getting cuffed backstage. It wasn't totally confirmed at first, but then Rolling Loud posted that Lefty Gunplay wouldn't be performing and that Stunner Girl was taking his slot instead. That tweet sent the crowd into a frenzy of speculation. The reason for his detainment wasn't immediately clear, but word soon got out that it was the LAPD behind it. People tried asking questions at the scene, security, festival staff, but nobody gave answers. The person filming seemed like they might have been part of Lefty's team, which made the whole situation even more confusing. If it was one of his people, why post it online? After that, things moved fast. Videos of the arrest spread all over social media. Then came the big hit. Rolling Loud canceled his set altogether, confirmed through their official account. Reports followed that his bail this time was set at $500,000. Turns out this wasn't just some random bust. According to the Baldwin Park Police Department, Lefty had a warrant from a 2023 incident where he was allegedly caught with a gun, even though he's got prior felony convictions. There isn't much else known about the case, but his mugshot popped up not long after. All these back-to-back legal issues got people wondering what's next for Lefty. Just when his name was starting to really take off, these charges might slow his momentum or add to the legend, depending on how things play out. One thing's for sure, he's been on people's radar more than ever, especially after his appearance on Kendrick Lamar's album, GNX. His part on the track TV Off was short but unforgettable, and fans turned it into a whole meme online. Even with the drama, his voice keeps echoing. Now the question is, can he stay out of trouble long enough to keep the spotlight? What are your thoughts on this story? Appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe for more.